The following podcast is brought to you by your Virginia Department of Social Services.
Welcome to People Helping People, the official podcast of the Virginia Department of Social Services. I'm your host, Carla Harris, along with producer Jaime Flores. In the background, you're listening to Crazy Love, the Alex and Lang mix by Jay Lang. All music for People Helping People was provided courtesy of CC Mixter through Creative Commons license. For more information, go to creativecommons.org. Imagine war ripping through your city or town, tearing you away from your family, your home, your friends, basically everything you know. Imagine fleeing for your life from a hostile government that wants to kill you. Imagine trying to survive with no food, no money, no transportation, no resources at all. Now imagine this when you're only 4 years old. While it sounds like a compelling fiction novel, it's the true story of 25,000 young men from Sudan who have become known as the Lost Boys. To commemorate Virginia and World Refugee Day on June 20th, 2007, the Office of Newcomer Services of the Virginia Department of Social Services held a special Richmond premiere of the documentary God Grew Tired of Us. Narrated by Nicole Kidman, the film has received numerous awards, including 2 from the Sundance Film Festival. God Grew Tired of Us explores the journey of 3 of the lost boys of Sudan who leave their war-torn homeland, triumph over incredible adversities, and move to America to begin new lives. Virginia is now home to numerous lost boys who, when they were just young children, were orphaned by a tumultuous civil war, traveled barefoot across the sub-Saharan desert, formed surrogate families, and sought refuge from famine, disease, wild animals, and attacks from rebel soldiers. And all of that was just to reach refugee camps. Again, the youngest among them was 3 years old, and the oldest only 13. Kathy Cooper of ONS explains.
Refugees are men, women, and children from all parts of the globe who are forced to leave their homelands due to persecution, either because of their religious convictions, war, or other human rights violations.
What is the difference between a refugee and an immigrant? There's often some confusion there.
A refugee is a legal immigrant, a small subset of the larger term immigrant that that have a special designation of refugee given to them before they enter the United States.
And that's not an easy status to achieve. Once a refugee reaches a refugee camp, they then have to go through a process to get to America. Is that correct?
That's correct. Refugees are vetted through a very arduous process, and only a small number of oppressed people across the globe find their way to the United States of America.
How do so many refugees find their way to Virginia?
Actually, that too is a very interesting and yet rather complex process. National voluntary agencies, in the main who are faith-based, arrange for refugees to come to the United States. There are 12 or 13 of these organizations that operate in our country. Some of the larger ones are the United States Catholic Conference of Bishops, the Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services, Jewish Family Services, and others.
Approximately how many refugees are in Virginia?
Since 1975, we have resettled over 50,000 refugees and resettle on average about 2,000 refugees a year.
Refugees are different than immigrants, as refugees have entered the country legally and are placed here by U.S. authorities in response to war, political strife, and religious persecution in their home countries. They come seeking not only a new home, but a new life. But the journey does not end once they reach American soil. In fact, it is often yet just another beginning. A new language, a new culture, new food, even new appliances. Meet some of the lost boys who have overcome incredible odds and hurdles and who are now thriving here in Virginia. Micaiah Abraham Jacques is one of 25,000 lost boys from the Sudan. He's now resettled in Virginia. Micaiah, I can't imagine what your experiences have been like. So let's go back and tell me, first of all, how old were you when you were orphaned in the Sudan?
I was 4 years old.
4 years old. You were just a baby.
Yes.
Now, how did your journey start? How at 4 years old did you cross the desert, end up in a refugee camp, and end up in the U.S.? How did it start?
It started like when the government troop came and attacked my village, and like we kind of ran away and ran into the bushes. And from there, the number kind of add up. So it add up a little bit at a time till like it become 1,000 of boys. And then we head on to Ethiopia, and it took us 4 months till we've been to Ethiopia. And then like from Ethiopia, we came back to Kenya when things get bad in Ethiopia. And then finally we live in a refugee camp in northern Kenya for 8 years. And then like only 4,000 lost boys were admitted to the United States as refugees. So this is how it ended up to be in Richmond. And it was a great experience that I've been through, and people like that work with refugees, they're like doing really great job, like bringing those newcomers to the new world, introduce them to the new life, and make them feel like home, like welcome them and take care of them. It was a great experience. I guess it has to do with like the cultural, like the way we've been brought up. So like we believe like in a strong family structure. So like if you've seen someone like who is vulnerable, like not capable of taking care of themselves, and you're strong, then it's your responsibility to take care of the weak one. So I think that's how my older friends and brothers kind of take care of the youngest one.
Well, you were one of the youngest ones at first, and then you spent 8 years in a refugee camp, so that made you 12, 13?
Right.
And then from there, what happened?
And then from there in the refugee camp, like it was really, it's still tough. Like the kind of environment that we live in, like people are starving. Like you only receive like maybe like 2 kilograms of maize for like 15 days, and you only have like a small portion of oil that you can eat. So it's really tough. Like it's a matter of survival. So it's not like everybody's like malnutritious. So and like the weather was extremely hot, so it could like go up to 100 degrees Celsius. It's very hot, and the indigenous of the people that we live in their land, they're like extremely like hostile to us too. Like they didn't like us, so they kind of like kill people randomly at night. So it was like really scary. It's very scary.
Gabriel Aluang and Rang Nyok are both quote unquote lost boys. Gabriel is 24 and Rang is 18. Now the two of you are here with us because you're lost boys of the Sudan. Your stories are probably very similar, but yet I'm sure you had your own experiences as well. Gabriel, I'm going to start with you. How old were you when you were orphaned and when you became what has become known as a lost boy?
Yeah, when I became a lost boy, I was about 5 to 4 years. That was the first time when I left Sudan.
So you were very young. You were 4 or 5 years old. Did you lose your family? Were you all alone?
Yeah, I did lose part of my family.
Wow.
Yeah, but I was with my older brother.
So you at least had one family member with you. Did you lose your mom and dad?
Yeah, I don't know my mom and dad when I left Sudan. Yeah.
That must have been tough at 4 or 5.
Yes, pretty.
Do you remember much about it? I'm sure it's very painful from what you remember.
Yes, I can still remember it all.
You remember what they looked like and happy memories?
Not that I remember my parents, but just the situation. Like when I say I was about 4 or 5 years of what I go through, so I can still remember that.
What do you remember most? Is there one thing that stands out that you remember most? Was it fear? Was it hunger? What do you remember the most?
It's just like when you left your country instead of fear and horror, so you don't know where you are, and you don't even know about your future, and you don't even know if you're going to be alive tomorrow.
Did you ever get sad?
Most of the time.
Sure. Rang, what about you? How old were you?
I was like 6 years old.
6 years old. Were you by yourself?
I don't really know a lot of things about before when I was a little boy, but that was a kind of war, it's war, and I just run away with somebody that I don't know, and we go together, we live together up to before like 2000, and I came to the refugee, and I stay in the refugee up to before I came here.
So there were about 25,000 lost boys, and about 3,000 or 4,000 of you were resettled here in the United States. 3,000 or 4,000 out of 25,000, that's not a huge number. How do you feel about being included in the 3,000 or 4,000 that were resettled, either one of you?
I think it's just mean a lot for you being part of a statistic of that big number, while nothing good has happened to that big number, as you have said. About 25,000, but just being about less than 3,000, what I can say has been resettled to the U.S. So just mean like you are very special, and that mean a lot to me and to another person. So compared to other people who have not made it here.
Was only 3 years old when he was orphaned by the war and the political strife in Sudan and was forced to run for his life. Mignon, it's such a pleasure to speak with you. I can't imagine what it's like being a 3-year-old little boy. Did you lose your family? Did you lose your mom and dad?
No, I don't. I miss them, but I don't live with them. But we separate each other. My dad worked in the military commander.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, but you were separated from them at 3 years old, and you were on your own. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What did you do at 3 years old?
My dad has a lot of people he already know because he worked like politician in Sudan, and then the people he know take care of me.
Ah, yeah. So you had a little bit of help.
Yeah.
But you hooked up with other lost boys, correct?
Yeah, I live with other lost boys, so I come like most of my life spent with the lost boy of Sudan. I'm one of them too.
You're a lost boy of Sudan.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nickname that was given to the 25,000 orphaned boys like you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that name?
I mean, it's kind of, it's something, it's not really good to say lost boy, but because it's just like people separated from their family and they miss each other, and you kind of separating from your family, so it's kind of really hard to know, like people call you lost boy and so, but it just happened when you don't have parents, nobody help you, just walking on randomly places. That's how the people call you lost boy.
Bibi Tran is with Commonwealth Catholic Charities, and she's had many roles with that group. She has worked with refugees in many capacities, including recruiting foster families and volunteers, as well as in placement of the lost boys from Sudan. Bibi, I can't imagine what your experiences have been like as well. You have seen the happy times, the sad times. Tell me basically what, first of all, the process is in settling a refugee and in settling one of the lost boys.
These boys usually left their home country at an early age, and they move from one location to the next until they get to a safe place. Most likely would be the neighbor country. So majority of the Sudanese children will come to Kenya, and there are a lot of refugee camps set up in Kenya. United Nations, the one that came and interviewed them, make sure that they have no other relative, that they can be united back into the family. Once they determine that these are unaccompanied minors and have nobody else can take care of them, that's when they referred it to Commonwealth Catholic Charities for foster care program.
And Commonwealth Catholic Charities of Virginia works very closely with Virginia Department of Social Services, and DSS works very closely with CCC. It's a great partnership.
Yes.
And we all rely on each other. But the bottom line is we're here to serve people, and we're here to help not only these lost boys, but so many refugees get resettled, get acclimated into the country. Is it difficult for them, and how do some of the programs work to kind of help them? I mean, they have to learn the language. They have to learn how to shop and how to turn on water faucets that they've never seen before, things that we take for granted because we've grown up with them, but these are all foreign things. We've spoken with some that they're seeing cell phones for the first time.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you kind of train them in?
When they first arrive into the country, we place them in a foster home. Then we actually walk them through the whole house and have to show them how to use the faucets, the toilet. In my 20 years experience working with Catholic Charity, we used to have a child came in and didn't know how to turn the water in the bathtub from just the shower. So for the whole week, she was using the lower faucets to wash her hair until one of the bilingual workers came and visit, and they show her how to turn the knob and so the water can come down so she can take the shower. Just basic things. And how to use the microwave. We used to have children that put eggs in the microwave and trying to fix a simple lunch. So basic things that we take things for granted. But these children are survival children, and they're very resilient. They learn very fast. Once you tell them, they can pick up real fast. And we have children right now that know about the computer and can go on the website and know more than a lot of social workers on, downloading music, their own country music, so they can listen to. So these children learn at a fast pace. But of course, when they first arrived, most of them couldn't speak a word of English.
All of the ones that we've spoken to seem so excited and so eager to learn and so full of joy despite the absolute atrocities that they have been through. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, we have wonderful, pleasant experience working with a small group of Sudanese. They came to Catholic Charities in late 2000. When they first came, we got about 20 kids that came in within a month. And, we have never had Sudanese children before. And they came scared, nervous. And now, if you look at them, they turn out to be a wonderful young man. Majority of the Sudanese finished with high school and went on to college. The two that you interview are at VCU right now.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and Macias, one of the boys that you interview, he's doing internship right now, doing research for biology department at VCU. And just 5 years ago, he came in, couldn't speak a word of English.
According to Bibi, Commonwealth Catholic Charities always has room and need for volunteers and foster families to help refugees like the Lost Boys, to help them get more acquainted in their new country. For more information, visit www.cccofva.org. The Department of Social Services presentation of God Grew Tired of Us gave an opportunity to not only witness what these young men endured in their pursuit of safety and freedom, but also provided the chance to meet some of them personally. It's difficult to describe the Lost Boys who have settled in Virginia. Charming, humble, grateful, incredible smiles, unbreakable spirits, a greater appreciation for this country than many Americans, and remarkable. Well, those words don't even begin to truly paint an accurate picture of these courageous young men who overcame incredible odds before most of us even enter kindergarten. The background music you're hearing is Que Pena, the CDK mix by CDK. People Helping People is the official podcast of the Virginia Department of Social Services and is produced by Jaime Flores and the Public Affairs Division. I'm Carla Harris.
Foi lindo, você já não quer mais. Que pena, eu minto e digo pra mim, tanto faz.
People Helping People is made possible by the Division of Public Affairs for your Virginia Department of Social Services.